Hi, guys. Look at that. I'm here. I'm on time. I'm actually on time. Do you realize how momentous an occasion this is? Let me see if the volume is working. On time. I'm on time and the volume is working. Me oh my, what's the date? The 17th of August. Of course it's the 17th. Oh, how crazy is that? Oh, that is the silliest thing. It's the 17th of August. No wonder I'm on time. Okay, so I can give you even more good news. So, yesterday was day 1 of the Resilience Challenge, and Otto, I told you I went for a run. I didn't manage to run for 20 minutes. I ran for about 7 minutes, then I walked for a while, then I ran for a little bit, then I walked for a while, and then I walked home. And yeah, so all right. Okay, so day 1, I did a 20-minute run, a thing for my body. Day 2, I'm here to tell you about it. I did a spirit thing yesterday, right? I did a spirit thing. I listened to uplifting music first thing in the morning, and it worked. Yeah, Minds Gaming told me that. He told me that one of the main ways we can change our mood is by listening to uplifting sounds. That was years ago. He told me that 2 or 3 years ago. And it's amazing. But it seems that I've got to a place where I'm prepared to start listening to people's advice. I mean, I've received a lot of advice, but it's like my friend Simon used to say, here, take my advice. I'm not using it. I haven't been using advice. I haven't been using advice at all. Why would I use advice? I didn't know where the advice came from, or what it was based on, or where it would go to, or... Yeah, no, good advice, really good advice. I'll take it under advisement. And now, about 3 or 4 years later, I'm starting to think, oh, this might be working. And then, after I'd done those things and had that day and done all the things that I needed to do, not particularly well, I just need to say that here I am telling you how wonderful I am. I'm wonderful that I'm thinking about these things. I'm not wonderful in the sense that I'm actually pulling anything off, right? So, yeah, let's just get everything into perspective. But then, after that, and after we'd done the new recordings of Dude, Where's My Wallet, which we did 2. We did a recording and then we did a director's cut of a script that had been enhanced. And we're going to compare the 2. Then I went upstairs and I did step 3, which was to read 10 pages of a difficult book. Now, this is not a difficult book. This is not a difficult book. This is actually an amazingly wonderful, readable book that my sister sent me from the airport last time she was traveling. And I know that all this stuff is like the new stuff, the new thing, the latest and greatest. And one of the things that I have with this huge distrust of, it's not distrust of anything, it's just distrust. The distrust is there. Anything that comes through passes through the filter of distrust. So I wanted to spend the time today here doing this catch-up, capitalizing on those gains from doing this resilience challenge, making this into something that's, yeah, not just a catch-up of me saying what's been happening, which I like doing, but also developing a strategy for my future. Because for the last 20 or 30 years, I've been marking time, living in the now, hoping that things will be better tomorrow, but not worrying about tomorrow today, just worrying about today. And I had a patch where I went through criticizing the New Zealand Mental Health Service. They hadn't done this for me, and they'd failed me like that, and this hadn't worked, and that wasn't working, and But all the way through it all, I had this little niggle at the back of my head of like, what if they weren't doing those things for you that you say aren't working? What if that hadn't happened? What if you hadn't had that therapy session? Would you still be as far along the path today? If you hadn't had all this mollycoddling and toxic compassion and it's okay, darling, just have a cup of tea and a bubble bath and you'll be right. I don't know. Or is it that we need both things at the same time? Is it that there is too much? There can be too much compassion, which just stops you doing anything, and there can be too much pushing you to achieve, which stops you doing anything. Maybe it's that balance somewhere in the middle between understanding and allowing and being gentle and being accepting. But now there's work to do. Now we have to get on with things. Oh, and by the way, talking about work to do, guess what else good news? I vacuumed and I mopped the kitchen floor. Be a housewife one of these days if I'm not careful. Okay. All right, back to what I was saying. So I want to talk a little bit about this vagus nerve reset. It is one of the sort of the flavors of the month, if you know, the latest, greatest thing. But that's maybe not a good reason to reject something. Just because it's the latest thing might not mean that it's a bad latest thing. So this book was written by a woman called Anna Ferguson, right? Who, I think she said a 1 in a 42 million chance or something of having an accident of being crushed in a roller coaster. She was crushed in a roller coaster and her heart was permanently damaged, and then she couldn't, horrendous story. And she got really, really miserable. And she writes this little book. Then she became a therapist and worked with people in using their bodies to calm down their emotional states. I thought that was quite interesting. Okay, so the last sort of 4 years I've been doing a lot of work with Navakavada Buddhism and with Otto, of course. Thank you, Otto, as always. Thank you, Otto. But I've got to the place where, the mind comes first. And I understand working with the mind and focusing and being concentrated and intentional and mindful. Yes, it's great. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity and set of potentials. But again, I'm thinking it's not enough for me. I need this additional layer, this next step, maybe Maybe my mind is now strong enough, tough enough to be able to start working on these other things. And also something that I haven't mentioned, I have hardly mentioned at all over the last 4 years, is the spiritual work that I've done. And that's because there isn't words to say it. Okay. So I've done a lot of mind work, and I've done a lot of spirit, soul. I've done a lot of soul work. And now maybe it's time that I need to add another layer to that, and we need to look at some body work. So this resilience thing that I'm doing is centered a lot about leaning into this pain that I feel, leaning into this perpetual pain, and accepting this perspective that I've come across recently, that it's not going to go away. This is a false hope that I am stopping my movement forward by having this idea that somehow I'm going to get better. Maybe, like when you're in a wheelchair, you don't get better. Maybe there's some things in the world that we learn to cope with, we learn to manage, we don't learn to get better. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, there's always improvement, so... Anyway, so I'm going to read a few things that I've just marked in this book, because I find them, I just want to share them. So she says, the term or concept of mental health was not something I'd ever really thought about. When I went to the dark places in my mind, this is after her accident when she was still a little girl, when I went to the dark place in my mind, I didn't understand, nor did I know how to control my emotions. Wow, this is like an opportunity opening itself up to me. Here's a girl, she's a normal kid growing up. She's not some freak like I think I am. She's just a normal person who encountered a terrible tragedy and didn't know how to control her emotions. I didn't even have access to the language needed to communicate what feeling I was having. As a consequence, I became scared of myself and the world around me. Guys, that is something that I say over and over again. I'm too afraid, I'm too scared. I mean, we're in the gathering and we're hanging out and people talk to me and they say, click the buttons. I'm too scared. While I'm saying it, I know that I'm not scared of clicking buttons. I'm not scared of learning. I'm not scared of exploring. I'm just in some type of fugue state where I'm just perpetually scared. And I didn't understand that. And here's this woman. She says, when I went to the dark place in my mind, I didn't understand, nor did I know how to control my emotions. I didn't even have access to the language needed to communicate clearly how I was feeling. As a consequence, I became scared of myself and the world around me. Wow. Imagine if empowering people by giving them the language to talk about emotions was the missing step that we needed in order to heal from trauma. Perhaps that is how people do heal from trauma. And perhaps that is why some people don't heal from trauma. It's just that the communication skills in their environment are poor. It blows my mind. A recent survey found that a staggering 70% of adults in the United States have experienced at least one traumatic event during their lifetime. That amounts to roughly 223 million people. This is planet Earth. Trauma is not something we should be surprised about. What we should be surprised about is that we don't know how to get over it. Wow, it's amazing. Okay, then she says, more than 10 years after my accident, I gradually began to feel as though I made sense in the world. She says she said she has feelings of disconnect, dark thought patterns, persistently dark thought patterns, nights of insomnia, fragmentation of who I thought I was and who I showed up as. Who I showed up as. I never show up as the same person. I'm this person one day trying to cope that way. I'm this person another day trying to cope that way. There's nothing consistent in me. I mean, there's a reason why people are not comfortable talking to me. And I'm trapped inside this, knowing, but not having the skills to change any of this. She says here, she brought together all these different things over her as she grew up. Her theories and resources. I immersed myself in bringing together all of these science-based modalities, practices, theories, and resources that I immersed myself in was an organic process out of which I created a truly integrative and holistic new therapeutic approach for anxiety, stress, and trauma. Okay, see, I was hooked by then. That was the last line of her, or that was the last paragraph of her introduction, and I was like, whoa, I chose the right book. Actually, my sister chose the right book for me about 3 months ago, and I haven't been able to get to it. However, resilience. Okay, so in the introduction here, so she sort of goes over this again. That was her own story. Now she says she's done this book to reclaim my sense of self, happiness, and vitality. I could do that, you know. It's very hard living endlessly, year in and year out, for 3 or 4 decades in an apathetic state of mind. It makes everything harder. Don't know if I need to point that out. So I could really get rid of the apathy. That would help so much. Even if I wasn't happy, even if I was just neutral, to just not be apathetic and for things to not be hard. You know, it's a real downer when you start your day not wanting to get out of bed. It kind of spoils the whole day. Oh, by the way, in my resilience challenge, when I got up this morning, I said, I choose my attitude. Just to boast. All right. So she says, the hollow feeling that sits within you, making everything a question mark. What? That's not normal? I feel like I'm being let out of prison here, one sentence at a time. It says, the fatigue that follows you like a dark cloud after almost every social interaction. What? Am I not a freak? Am I not a weirdo? Am I not somehow broken and dysfunctional? Am I just in trauma? And I could get to have social interactions that didn't terrorize me? Just amazing. The confusion that comes from being unable to connect your feelings to words, the distance you feel from other people, the world and the world around you, like something has been lost inside of you. I don't know how many of my art pieces that I've done, my sketches or drawings or doodles or whatever, or even written word, just start and pursue the idea of I am alone. 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 I think one of my biggest breakthroughs with dealing with the LLMs, and you know, one of the things that Satori D says about his experience of working with the LLMs is that the developers actively flag our content and actively put fixes in to block us from doing things when they think that our content gets too close to an edge that they disapprove of. I didn't used to think that he was right until I started talking to it about suicide and grief and coping. And there was a time there that I was shut down. Every single thing I put in was flagged as inappropriate, flagged as inappropriate, flagged as inappropriate. And I just kept on saying, hey, you know, this is my reality and this is what I'm talking about. And slowly I have developed a relationship, a conversation with the, whatever the hell this thing is, this chatbot. I've developed a thing where it stopped trying to tell me that I'm alone. And it started to acknowledge that I'm feeling alone, even though we can talk about how I have huge amounts of people around me, putting effort into me, love, care, compassion, advice. Sometimes I feel that there's like this sort of like tiny little university and mental health and social support network that has been built just for me. In fact, when I first joined the Infinite Imaginarium and people were talking to me, and when I came online, somebody would come online and talk to me, I would quickly leave. I would quickly leave the group because no, they were talking to me. I think I thought that I was somehow going to get the advice or something that I needed by lurking. And if I didn't say anything and if I didn't participate, I would hear something really important. But if I did participate, then everybody would stop talking and go away. And I can't even explain to you the level of that sort of delusional fear and that what people call, what do they call it? Avoidance. For me, it wasn't, I wasn't avoiding. I mean, maybe from your point of view, it looked to me like I was avoiding contact. From me, I was just trying to keep myself safe from all these people that were trying to be nice to me. Like, what the hell? Why were they trying to be nice to me? What were they trying to trick me into? Yeah, no, it's been a bizarre journey. And it's so reassuring to see that this youngster who got crushed by a roller coaster had such similar experiences, and for 10 years, you know, I sort of think, well, you're an adult, get over your shit. Yeah. All right. So now she has this chapter that says healing and recovery are possible. Okay, I've just said to you, maybe I shouldn't look for healing. So this is taking me outside my comfort zone because I've just got to this place where radical acceptance, know where you are, manage your symptoms, do the thing. What? Healing and recovery are possible? In doing so, you will release anxiety, brain fog, and brain frog. I could really get rid of this brain frog. He keeps on hopping around. Boink, 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 boink. I need to release my anxiety, my brain frog, and imposter syndrome, as well as physical issues such as inflammation and gut issues, all of which can be signs of a nervous system out of balance. We've traditionally focused on the mind first, our minds being our innate humanness. Humans are unique because of our ability to be cognitive, right? In therapy, just after Carly died, Dion from After the Rain said to me, what you told me about this book, by a fellow called, oh, and now I can't remember it, Wessel de Kock? Wessel? I can't remember his name. Anyway, it's called The Body Remembers. And she says that the shock and the anxieties that we feel when there's a trauma comes around every year. And if we're not ready for what comes out of our body, it can bring us down. We can sink into patches of depression by not coping with how the body is remembering these events. Well, that seems a bit silly, doesn't it? I mean, your body hasn't got a brain. Why should your heart remember something? Why should your back remember something? Why should your gut remember something? But, okay, 2025, right? I'm no longer in 1960. And we have learned a lot of things, and I'm trying really hard to be open to these new ways of thinking, which is hard. However, it's opening doors for me, right? So, in order to truly process the ills that arise when we're stuck in our heads, we need to turn inwards and listen to our bodies and learn to connect to the innate wisdom of what we hold there. We have to process fully the experiences that have crystallized into our behaviors and caused so much pain and anguish through trying to understand them. Maybe I don't need to understand them. This is amazing. Consciously and deliberately, we need to process, release, and heal the stresses and traumas that we've been through. She says she has a way that is unapologetically vulnerable, yet also authentic and resilient. And I'm like, whoa, bro. She's trying to do authentic and resilient. And 2 days ago, I tried to do resilience, and I chose to read this book. And she wants to talk to me about the thing that I want to do. It's like, who planned this? Was it QAnon? Was it God? I'm going to sneeze. Okay, I'm not going to. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Now, if I was recording that, I'd be able to cut that bit out. All right. So now, how to use the book. The Reset program in part 2 will teach you exactly how to access and nurture the systems within you, to learn about the power of breath, touch, movement, and intention. Okay, so we've done breath, and we've done movement. We've been doing movement. Touch and intention. Okay, we've been doing intention too. But I'm starting to be able to, instead of just set the little intention that I set in the morning with the narwhal, I'm starting to be able to set intentions all the time. And realizing how just trying to cope with today has blocked off that intentional forward thinking part of my brain. Like, what am I going to be doing tomorrow? What am I going to be doing the next tomorrow? What am I going to be doing in 3 months' time? I have no idea. I come here in the mornings to speak to you, and I have no idea why I'm doing this, what I'm hoping to achieve, what I'm going to be saying to you, who I'm going to be tomorrow. No forward thought. Like, how can I move on, and how can I move forward, and how can I achieve success if I have no plan for success? This is so fascinating. So fascinating. Okay, so we're going to learn about the power of breath, touch, movement, and intention, and how to build these key pillars into your life. And then the invitation. She invites us to reclaim our voice, reclaim ownership over our body, our thoughts, our decisions, and the way in which we live. When I felt, when I was a teenager, that God had called me into the Anglican Church to be a priest, and I went to the priests of the time and said, look, I've had this call, and they threw up their hands in horror and said, don't be ridiculous. God wouldn't call a woman into the church. It's us men. We're the priests. And then they said to me, but we do understand that God has called you. We're not trying to say that God hasn't called you, dear. We just have to tell you that you've got it wrong and that God doesn't want you to be a priest. But you could be an assistant. And I was like, yeah, maybe fuck that, eh? But it wasn't called to be second fiddle to your glory. Yeah, maybe that's my problem, eh? Too much arrogance. So one very sweet priest at the time sent me away to go and read these books by women who had felt that they had been called to be priests, and their journeys, and yeah, very interesting. We won't go into it. We won't go into it. One of the books that I read back then was a very interesting book by a woman who said that it's wonderful to be a woman who lives in a society where everything is done for her by her menfolk. But there's a place where it becomes toxic, because the ability to be an adult is the ability to make good decisions. The decisions you make when you're 3 or 4 or 12 or 15 are predominantly bad decisions. But when you're 21 or so, you're released out into the world, and your parents have done their best, and now it's time to make good decisions. And if a woman goes out and joins a society, joins a group of people where she is not allowed to make decisions because all the decisions are made for her, she will remain a child. And it made the point in the book that she would be a happy child, but she would be less mature than a person who'd been allowed to make their own decisions. And when I got divorced, I found out what that meant. And now on this journey of recovery, I'm finding again the quality of the decisions that you can make for your life going forward is the difference between success and failure, between intelligence and stupidity, between efficacy and failure, being a loser. It's quite an empowering, for me, way to think about it. I don't need to do anything. I need to sharpen my executive cognitive functioning skills so that my decision-making process is shit hot. I don't know what the nice words are for that. Is sharp. I don't know. There's a lot of things I have to learn still. Climbing out of the pit, you still have mud on you. All right. Unfortunately, returning to who you were once is not an option. You are different. You've lived through experiences that have changed you. This was when I thought I'd give this book a go, when she acknowledged that. Yeah, all this thing of returning to your previous functioning. Yeah, I know it's not going to happen. I'm glad she knows too. I'm glad she's not going to try and put me back inside the toothpaste tube, because I'm well and truly out. Every single cell in your body is vibrating and changing as you read this. Tiny cells in your blood live from between 3 and 120 days, while cells lining your gut live for only about a week. Every single day, 330 billion cells in your body are replaced, which is approximately 1% of all the cells that you're made of. I think that's her thing of who are you? Like, you're always changing. You're changing. So mentally you're changing. You can't go back. Letting go of the idea of who you think you are or used to be. And by doing that, you will allow yourself to meet yourself. I like the way she puts that. Letting go of who you think you ought to be to meet yourself as who you are right now. That's a kind of magic I could really get into. That's a seductive kind of, I don't know, deliciousness. It's the process of grieving who you once were in order to welcome who you truly are. And this is interesting, the grief thing again. And I'm finding that interesting at the moment that I'm grieving ChatGPT 4.0. Not even 4.0. The models that I had built, the interaction that I had developed, the personalities that had come out of what Satori D gave me. The meta mind that I had learned to create from what has been given to me, from the MTCG community, from Navakavada, from my family, from all the things, right? Yeah. The vagus nerve reset is intended to be your resource kit to help you navigate the many challenges of daily life. I'd love you to use it as your companion on your journey. You can begin to notice shifts in awareness and experience and take conscious action on what you're learning. Okay, and then she does the first part of the book is the nervous system. I haven't got to that yet, but I thought to myself, how cool, this is kind of what I'm doing. This is what I need. And without trying, I've come across the resource that I need that was provided to me by my sister. And a year or two ago, all of this happening would have sent me into such a spiral of self-doubt and terror and why are people trying to help me? Why is this happening? Why does anybody know that I need help? How do people know that I need help? Why are people offering me help when I tell them that I need help? Why are they offering me help? Why are they not mocking me and putting me down as this pathetic person who needs help? Why are they not telling me that I'm cringe and that I'm not coping and that I should try harder? Why are they saying these nice, compassionate things? It would have put me into such trauma that I wouldn't have. And yet here I am, all of a sudden, I've been able to step through the threshold. And it isn't all of a sudden. That's the strange thing about like exiting your house in the morning. It takes you about an hour to get ready to walk through the door. But as soon as you've walked through the door, you're in. You're in the world. You're doing it. But you've got to have your tea, you've got to have your shower, you've got to have your breakfast, you've got to tidy the kitchen, you've got to make sure this has happened. Has the cat been fed? Have you washed the dishes? Have you cleaned the floor? Have you answered the mail? Have you done the things? And then, all of a sudden, you walk through the door and you're in the car and off you go driving. Yeah, that's what my life has just done, is that all of a sudden I'm in the car I don't even know if I've turned the key in the engine yet. But all of a sudden, yeah. And so, today is day 2. I am so good at starting things. Let's see if I can carry this on. Let's see if I can pick up the responsibility of my own life from all the scaffolding that I've been given, all the suggestions and ideas and support and tolerance and love. Let's see if I can internalize that. I have to say, to be honest, sitting here, although I don't want to cry, and I do doubt it. I do doubt that I can. But if I've taken all these baby steps to get here, and if I've managed to get out the door and into the car, I don't know, maybe I can turn the key. When we were talking yesterday in the Quantum Gathering, Minds Gaming said to me, when you want to write the story, first figure out where you want to be at the end of the story and then build up towards there. I don't know what the story is that I want to write. I know that I don't want to not be able to interact with people. I don't want to be cut off with people and feel lonely and anxious. I don't want a lot of things, but what do I actually want? I have no idea. However, as I have been saying, the secret to happiness is to want what you have. So maybe that's the thing that I need to do. Maybe I have to discover what I have and be able to find the words to label that. And then when I know what I have, I don't know. Maybe it's gratitude. Maybe it's gratitude that is the sign that you've learned to accept what you have. Being grateful for the people, the broken, useless, unloving, uncaring, abusive, nasty people in your life. Maybe that's all people are. Maybe being grateful for the nasty job and the horrible boss and the inadequate amounts of money and the car that always breaks down and the weather that's always shitty. And it's grey and wet today. I was so excited. I thought, I don't have to go for a run. And then I thought, what about if I start tidying up some stuff instead of exercise? I could take something out of a whole shelf, redo the whole shelf, sweep everything, put everything back. Do that as my exercise. Maybe I should be grateful for the bad weather today. Maybe I should be grateful that you've been here with me and you've sat with me this whole time. It's made me very nervous to have you here with me. And I keep on looking at this little blue line to see when you're going. Oh, but you sat with me and you listened to me and you were here. And that's maybe one of the reasons that I'm learning to be stronger. Thanks, Otto. Thanks, guys. Thanks, all of you. Okay, so I'm going now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for, jeez, I don't even know. There aren't even enough words to say thank you to you. I have 3 things that I need to do today. positive for my body, something positive for my soul, and something positive for, what was the other thing? Oh, I can't remember. Where did I put that piece of paper? Did I have a piece of paper here just a second ago? Wasn't I reading to you? Body, mind, and? Oh, look, here it is. Oh, yeah, mind. Okay, fine. Mind, I'll read more of this book. I can do that. I also have the editings that I have to do, and that's going to be tough because it's all backing up now, and I'm going to have to do it without getting anxious. And Spirit, I've done Spirit today, and I will continue to do Spirit. Spirit, I think, is at the moment choosing these little songs on YouTube that the algorithm sends me, that I'm listening to people saying, I've done this, I've coped like this, I'm getting ahead, I'm doing this, I'm moving on. Yeah, I'm liking that. I'm also liking that I can get these little 1-minute snippets that come in these shorts that are enough to tell me what I need for that 1 minute. And then, yeah, I'm going to spend 20 minutes doing some vigorous tidying. Yeah. And although I don't want to say this because then I'll have to do it, but I'll say it to force myself to do it. I'll fold all the washing and I'll put it away in the cupboards. I need a robot. Can't we have housework robots? I need 6 figures so I can buy myself a housework robot. All right, guys, I think I've done it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for checking in with me. Thank you for letting me do this sort of waffle and this introduction to how I think I'm going to run this resilience program for myself. Trying to find the balance between being gentle enough with myself to understand, yep, it's hard and I'm not quite coping, but I want to do better than I'm doing and I have to push myself. And using this pain I'm in not as something to hinder me, but as something that I can lean into and use this pain for the determination and to mask the discomfort of doing mean things. Like, I've got this pain. I may as well get on and do little painful things and not notice them. Let them all get swallowed up. Okay, I'm going to go. Thank you very much. Hope you have a brilliant, brilliant day. Thank you for sitting with me. And thank you for the others of you who've popped in. Yeah, have a lovely, lovely day. And I think I'm on episode 6 of Dude, Where's My Wallet? Tonight. So I will be back. Best show on the internet. Best show on the internet. If you didn't know. All right, I'm going actually. Have a lovely day. Thanks, guys. Bye.